Good evening. I am happy to welcome you all to this literary forum program being organized by the Sahitya Academy in association with the Embassy of Israel in New Delhi, in which we have invited two eminent poets from Israel, Dr. Diti Ronen and Mr. Amir Or. We are also happy to have among us Ms. Ryuma Mantazur here, who is cultural attaché from Embassy of Israel in New Delhi. Before I start the program formally, I request Dr. H.S. Shivprakashji, who was earlier with Sahitya Academy as a former editor of Indian literature, to welcome all the three guests with a packet of book and Anuvastra. In fact, only recently we came to know through Ms. Ryuma Mantazur ji that Dr. Ronen and Mr. Amir Or are visiting India during the first week of December this year, and we plan to have this get together under our literary forum program. Thank you, Mr. Ronen and Mr. Amir. Thank you, Diti ji and Mr. Amir Or, for accepting our invitation. The duration of the program is around 45 minutes, after which, if time permits, we may have a brief interactive session for about 15 minutes. And before I request Mr. Ronen and Mr. Amir to present some of their poems, let me briefly introduce them. Dr. Diti Ronen is a prominent Jewish Israeli poet, editor and a translator. Ronen's poetry was awarded international and national poetry awards, including the prestigious Kujel Prize, prizes of honor, poetry residencies, scholarships, and more. She has published 12 full-length poetry books in different languages. Her poems are published in literary magazines and websites all over the world, and she is regularly invited to perform them in various leading renowned international venues and poetry festivals. Besides her activities as a poet, Dr. Ronen is a researcher, a lecturer, a consultant of arts, literature, theatre and cultural policy. Ronen has done her PhD from Tel Aviv University, and she has published books and articles in her fields of interest. Ronen was invited as a visiting professor to the University of Mysore and later to the Kuvempu University. During her staying in the two universities, she led several PhD students who wrote their doctoral thesis on subject of Holocaust literature. This was the first time the subject of Holocaust literature was raised as a research topic in India. I would now request Diti ji to present. First, we can start with one original Arabic poems and then English translations.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Please help us switch on the lights.
You can sit and read that.
That's okay. I think I prefer standing. If you don't mind. That's okay? Just the voice comes up. Okay, if I sit, it's like... כך היו הדברים. תחילה הייתה מלחמה. אחר כך הייתה אהבה. חיים חדשים נבראו בכחול ובלבן. אנשים האמינו אחדות ותקומה. אנשים האמינו משפחה, הריון ולידה. אחר כך באה שגרה. נדמה היה לחשוב שהעולם נרגע, שיבוא שלום, שלא תהיה עוד מלחמה. איש מגיע עייף, אישה מחפשת ריגוש, איש תשוש, אישה בייאוש. אחר כך הייתה עוד מלחמה. איש הלך לצבא, אישה נשארה, ושוב הייתה אהבה בין איש אחר לאישה, וחיים שוב היו רצויים, והייתה שוב סיבה. ומה שהיה קודם נמחה. אחר כך באה שגרה. נדמה היה לחשוב שהעולם נרגע. אחר כך הייתה עוד מלחמה. איש כבר לא הלך לצבא. אישה כבר לא נשארה. וכבר מזמן לא הייתה אהבה. אחר כך הייתה עוד מלחמה. I just read this poem in the Hebrew, and I plan to okay, so it's my turn now. Yes? Okay, I didn't know. I thought one for you, one for okay. I thought of reading two cycles of poems. One is a cycle that I wrote in Kuvempu University, where I stayed in Kuvempu University. And Kuvempu University is very near to a very small village, Shankargata is the name of the village. And while staying in Kuvempu University, I could, look. I couldn't see the village itself because it was hidden behind the trees down, very far from me. But I could hear the noises. And the sound of the name Shankargata caught me. And I wrote this this cycle. So I will read it in English, so the first, and I will not read the Hebrew. I wrote it both in Hebrew and in English. Ah, this is going home. So it's a different one. I lost my book in English, so in the festival. So I will have to read it from my unfortunately, I'm sorry. Let me see where it is. I'll read it from here. Here. Shankara. 1. In this stillness, music persists, but the night voices are stronger, pulling in ropes of rut to open the door now, when all the animals are scurrying to back and forth, the fear and the guts, to climb a rock, to trust a stone in the bustling Tunga River. 3. Remains of green are ripening to golden paddy, and I to my horariness. Sorry. 4. Behind the paddy stands Paddy, and the man who wakes every morning and the field in his heart. He lays his bicycle down beside the trail and stands barefoot, his hands behind his back. His eyes explore the valley. In the evening, he straightened his back, reviewing slowly his long shadow touching the golden paddy. 5. The voice of the poem is the voice of the night, an empty page and darkness around. Even the deer have left. Their footsteps in the forest have ceased. A chill wind is also a voice, and the faraway music, and one man is turning over in his sleep, dreaming his childhood. Everything is possible now. The music will come closer, the wind will spin, and the deer will dance at the forest edge. And only the darkness will stay. Let it stay, and the inviting page. 6. Sunday morning, I turn the sun into a moon, stretch a line to you on a route not yet created, walk on it in perfect balance, and write nothing about the fear. 7. Or about the monotonous soughing of the cricket and the sorrow of his death. 8. Especially, I'm glad to reach you after all these days and nights. 9. Better the way to you than you. 10. Holding the longing in a bottle with plug and closing it tightly to smell it when there's a 11. In front of my window, the bird and I are standing every morning on a bough. The treetops are glittering and the valley is sleepy. 12. Rosendorf Quartet, a bucket, slippers, rice, water, almonds from home, and one room facing the valley. 13. Sun rises and sets. Its root is apparent and concealed. I'm waiting for a reply. 14. The gold is too heavy this morning. The green that's left is drying, and an impatient brown urges on the valley and me. And nevertheless, the sun, the embarkment, the emailing box, and the forest, and nevertheless the field is empty of human beings. 15. To close the window and to forget. Outside, inside, backward, here, there, you. 16. A dot of light in the heart of darkness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ronen, for presenting your excellent small poems.
If we have time, I have another
Yeah, we can do.
section.
So we will now invite Mr. Amir. And before you start, I will, for audience, I will give some small. Mr. Amir, a leading Israeli poet, novelist, and essayist, has been recognized as a major new generation voice in world literature. He is the author of 12 volumes of poetry. His poems have been translated into 45 languages and appeared in poetry journals, anthologies, and literary sites, as well as in 31 books in Europe, America, and Asia. His novels include The Song of Tahira and The Kingdom, Mr. Orr translated into Hebrew 8 prose and poetry books. For his translations from ancient Greek, he received the honorary prize of the Israeli Minister of Culture. Orr is the recipient of Israeli and International Poetry Awards, the Fulbright Award for Writers, Lifetime Achievement Award, and Homer European Medal for Poetry and Art, as well as numerous fellowships. Orr has served as editor-in-chief of Helicourt's journal and its series of poetry books. He has edited other literary journals as well, and several anthologies of Hebrew verse in European languages. For his editorial contributions, he was awarded the 2017 Culture Minister's Literary Editing Award.
So my first poem is dedicated to language, which is funny because you will not understand the language. Okay. השפה אומרת. השפה אומרת, מאחורי השפה עומדת שפה. שפה היא עקבות, עקובים משם. השפה אומרת, שמע, עכשיו. אתה מקשיב? היה פה הד. קח את השתיקה ונסה לשתוק. קח את המילים ונסה לדבר. מעבר לשפה, השפה היא פצע שממנו ניכר וניכר העולם. השפה אומרת, יש, אין, יש, אין. השפה אומרת אני. השפה אומרת בוא, נדבר אותך, בוא, נמשש אותך, בוא, תגיד שאמרת.
Now you can present your comments in English translation.
More. So I don't, that's a kind of an epitaph. So I don't even look at you, but prefer the window. And the eye, that of black and gray, is zooming in to discover the broken outlines of a growth whose heart is one and invisible. Like an elephant's dry skin, grooved with islands, ancient, the olive tree gathers its spokes into a concavity of old shadow-sunken curves, returns to stretch its ridges in ridges roughened by the sun's touches. There, above a hump of a peel, a baby leans towards a breast, a rusty nail. Beyond this, I don't look, don't think. How can I think about the leaves turning silver outside in the twilight? About a sky above them, above my gaze? How can I think about infinity and the void now, when you are about to die? And as you are about to die, how can I not think about you? How? Think perhaps about loved ones who haven't yet been. Maybe even about those who are alive. Think that even in this there is still a thought about you, and even believe it. Can I be that strong only because of what you've done to me now? Because you are dead? Tomorrow, I'll write you a few words, an epitaph, or at least a note. Something poetic, for example, here lies a dancer. And if this isn't enough to bury you, I'll elaborate for sure. Water me, I'll write on the marble. Water me, I'm thirsty. Water me, and not with water. Water me, and not with clear logic. Water me, and not with a name. Water me, and not with wine. Water me, and nothing else. Water me. Beauty won't do. Love won't do. God won't do. Even this life won't do, nor any life. Water me. I'm thirsty. Well, actually, I first of all owe you the short poem I read to you in Hebrew before, so let me read to you in English. Language says, before language stands the language. Language is traces, stand by over there. Language says, listen, now. You listen, here was echo. Take silence and try to be silent. Take the words and try to speak. Beyond language, language is a wound from which the world flows and flows. Language says, is not. Is not. Language says, I. Language says, come on, let's speak you. Let's touch you. Come on, say, you have said. Okay, so, this poem is a kind of a chat, next poem I'm going to read to you, is kind of a chat with Cavafis, you know, this famous poem, Waiting for the Barbarians. And in Cavafis' poem, the barbarians never come to this decadent society that waited for them as a solution. In my poem, they do come, and you figure out where from. The Barbarians, round 2. It was not in vain that we awaited the barbarians. It was not in vain that we gathered in the city square. It was not in vain that our great ones put on their official robes, and rehearsed their speeches for the event. It was not in vain that we smashed our temples and erected new ones to their gods. As proper, we burned our books that have nothing in them for people like that. As the prophecy foretold, the barbarians came and took the keys to the city from the king's hand. But when they came, they wore the garments of the land, and their customs were the customs of the state. And when they commanded us in our own tongue, we no longer knew when the barbarians had come to us. One more?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I don't find the poem I wanted to read. Do you want the modern one? I guess. Okay. A morning legend. At dawn, a man rose and opened his window. A light of sun from east to west. It reached as far as his heart and lit his sorrow. And he said, "Beautiful is the world." And he said, "Why was I so bitterly depressed? What dream passed through me? Let me wake. I'll create a new world this morning. I shall be. There's no other way. I'll rise and go to the world of leaves. Let me touch its green heart. Like a butterfly, I'll flutter among flowers and suck life's sweet nectar." He set forth, but not far, 10 steps, a life cleansed of any past. By dawn he walked against the reddening east, and his eyes opened and saw. 10 steps, no more, but for him longer than his life to that point. At the moment of nectar, who can recognize his yesterday? Who can count 10 eternities? Once upon a time, a man rose at dawn and emerged to a forgotten Eden. By the temple. By the temple, Assad is begging bread. Abdallah is begging money. Nearby, among the booth of incense and charms, Mustafa is begging stars. And Isa is begging love, stretching out their begging bowls, gaping. Mansur is begging truth from every passerby. Jalal begs freedom, Omar life. And he is begging nothing, yet no one gives him any. His begging bowl is filled with glances and stares, thought arms, word arms, air, fire, earth, kingdoms, elixirs, salvations. He turns his begging bowl upside down and empties it, yet it's still quite full. Dear self, he writes on it, fills it to the brim, with wine to the brim, and drinks up in one gulp. Ah, it's not empty. He smashes his bowl in one go, broken pieces, yet it seems to be now even fuller, multiplied. By the temple, Assad is begging flesh, Mustafa pebbles, and Omar walls. By him, by the temple, there's no temple. Last, when I came to God, I came blind. I heard all around me the song of his longing, his growl, his sigh, his slaughter lowing. I touched with my palms his leaves, his dome, the breath of his mouth, his back, still warm. When I came to God, I came naked, tainted by his smell, voice, and handprints. He was walking in the garden in the cool of the day. He was expelled, fugitive, and vagabond. When I came to God, I whispered to him, know yourself. And I hugged myself. When I came to God, I came alone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amir, for presenting your beautiful points. We may now have a brief interactive session and questions from you, anyone from you. This session is open. Anyone from you can ask if there is any question. Yes, sir.
Namaste, Didi and Amir. It was wonderful listening to your language. My question is to Amir. What inspired the last poem that you just read? Like each one is there with a begging bowl, and those are empty, but only this person who is asking for flesh is full. Very special poem, actually.
You mean the one before the last, by the temple?
Yes.
By the temple.
Please repeat. Now I understand, because I thought about the last one. You asked what inspired you. This temple is the temple of religion in a way. And you know, Lenny Bruce, the Jewish stand-upist, American stand-upist, once said, many people leave religion now and go back to God. Okay, so these beggars are sitting in front. It's like the studies of a Sufi parable. But these beggars are sitting there and they beg salvations, elixirs, life, freedom, but they're begging. They are in want. And he wants his bowl, the true seeker, if you can talk about it like this, he wants it to be empty, even of himself. And when he gets it empty, when he breaks everything, he cannot empty it anymore, suddenly he sees that whoever was asking for the spirit, actually asking for the flesh, whoever asking for freedom is begging walls, etc. Because the context is not of freedom. And by the temple, there's no temple. It's only within.
Very different. And this one was reflective. I mean, has the whole thing there. What interests me about these poetry, very important, is such a wide range of these ideas. It is what for I just want to know, because I have not read it, and temple was what are the other kind of trends that are used for this?
You mean other trends of writing?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, I don't know. It's very personal. But some right from their idea. I think it's international, it's not specific for Israel. Maybe we have more references to war. We had several, and maybe we have more than in other places. Maybe we have, but I think that's it. No, I can't mention. Maybe I never think something. I can't, more than that, I can't identify something very specific to Israel.
Did you ask about styles or podcasts?
What other trends?
Other trends.
Poetry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think nowadays all over the world poetry tends to become prose. Yeah, it would like, more and more. And I think the poet should strive to master technique very early in his career, because this shouldn't be the hindrance. It's enough that we try to express things that were never expressed in language before. And we try to convey to other people, not to digital, but to create a dialogue. So technique shouldn't be a problem. And sometimes I can write a sonnet, a haiku, a free verse, whatever. I take what I need, not what only one channel that the content. And if you can master enough the technique, then the technique is not a problem. Now you have to be attentive to the voice that comes into you. And I think if you want to stay alive as a poet, you never write a poem you know that you write a poem you don't know. That's something new. Poetry is my teacher, not my slave. No way. When I have a kind of an existential question that I can't even phrase, I go somewhere and wait, try to leave the door open, and then the answer comes, which I didn't even sometimes know the question. But people write all over the world now. I know it's not the age of poetry. It's like because it goes to the lowest cultural common denominator everywhere, and culture in general becomes entertainment. But this doesn't matter, because it's not about how many people watch a certain program in TV. No, poetry is different. It's enough to talk to one person, but it really listens. Because it's not like normal information that you convey. It has music, it has a vibration, it has something that will awaken another person. Because a poem is an invitation to enter into the world that you created through words. And if somebody else can really enter, he will answer with his own life, not with words.
My question was on the text.
My question is to DP Madam. Madam, how is the freedom of expression as far as the lady poets are concerned in Israel? Are you totally free, or are there any constraints on you?
I feel totally free. No.
For now.
For now. There was election. We had elections the last month, and we don't know what is going to come. But right now, and until now, I should say, yes, I feel free to let the poem come and go through me. I just open myself to whatever comes, and it's I don't think about how it will be in other eyes, or how people would think about it. I don't write for readers. I write first of what I must write. So this is something that I have to do. And the question of limitations, I still didn't have to confront it. On the contrary, I worked totally within myself and outward to let the poem arise and to listen to the poem, just to follow it, not to lead it, not to let it lead me, just to let the poem be itself and to let it be written. So until now, not as a female, not as not politically and not gender-wise, I haven't yet had any kind of limitation.
Yeah, good to see both Diti and Amit again within a month's time. One question, not directly to writing poetry or poetry, but related to publishing poetry. How about the young poets? What are the facilities with the government supports, or it has to be self-published, or the publishers themselves are interested to publish, especially the younger generation who are coming up with the poetry? This is my question. And I have a statement, you said that the poetry is the lowest strata. But why so many people in every language are still writing poetry? It's out of age, you said, but then why so many people you feel
The
that?
question is different. Why? Because this is the highest expression of human soul through language. The question is different. Why so few people in this generation are able to do it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like because they are fed with junk, just like with the food. And even to play, tennis, you have to learn the language of tennis. Yeah. So, and the idea of this era is to sell. Nothing more than that. You know, for every regime, actually, true poetry is a threat. Because even you create a new reality when you write a poem. Even if you write about a rose, you create a new reality. The safe, stabilized, automatic world, you are out of this system. The system wants you to go to work, go shopping, watch TV, play on your computer, and go to work every 4 years. Be a good technician, and that's it.
And what about publishing for the younger generation?
Well, you sit here with two people that have something to do with it. You know, my idea years ago was to create a school, poetry school, magazine, publishing house, international poetry festival. First of all, for the young people. You know, because poetry school is exactly to give people all the tools they need. Yeah? But we took only the best. Like 16 people were elected every year.
From hundreds.
From hundreds. And it was a scholarship. We didn't have to pay. And but you know this very well. Yes. And
From all sides.
from all sides, exactly. And so we tried to promote this poetry. And after, I think 6 or 7 years that we did with Hebrew writers, we were shocked in a way from the impact it had, because our graduates, I told them, just pass it on, and they did. They started opening all kinds of places, new dialogues. These people were speakers in the society. They were young, but they grew. And then we started doing it with Arabic writers as well, which created a whole new dialogue among these participants. Yeah. And Diti, in her other hat, she was first in this school. She knew it from the inside. Yeah. But then she was in a position to create more scholarship for young writers. Maybe I should let you talk about it. And so you do what you can. Yeah, you do what you can. And nowadays, I consult other people in other countries. But of course, you need to find funds.
Yeah, that's the.
And but I think first of all, you have to find vision. I didn't have anything except vision and decision. And if you say, okay, I can see that this is what should be, and you go there by hook and by crook, then
you get it.
Then you get it. This organization started in my own flat, and for 10 years I didn't get any real salary from that. But I was very determined to do it. And after 20 years it looked different. We even had a place for school, for everything. But it's only a question of time and determination. But first of all, you have to have a vision of how do you want to see it? What will be the future? Because I think really, poetry is the identity card of any nation. I don't need to say it here because we have such an ancient history of poetry. It is combined with the wisdom and the imagination and everything that India offered the world. So it goes without saying. And we have the Bible. It's the soul of the culture.
Any other question?
I'm Mitresh Srivastava, a Hindi poet. I have a different question. I have a feeling that boundaries of your land are still unsettled. And we hear news about bombings, etc. So, how do you react? My question is to both of you. How do you react to this bombing, sailing, chakra, or your literary world of your country? How they feel?
How, I would like to ask you, what do you think we feel when these things happen?
No, of course, I would not like, because it is not a case of boundary. It relates to human.
So, as
So
for
we don't like, but since you have come from a long way,
I will ask you another question.
yeah,
Do you agree with every step of your government? Each and every step?
no, not that side.
No, I just asked you.
No, no,
Do you write about it?
Do you write
Do
about
you
it?
represent your government?
yeah.
You represent your government? Do you agree with each and every step of your government?
I am not a terrorist. I have a government. So
Okay.
I support or don't
Well-
support, that is a different thing.
So
How do you feel about this violence? If you can share your feeling with us, that is okay.
Yeah, we don't think terrorism is a good thing.
Yes.
We don't, it goes without
It
saying.
goes without saying. Atrocities in any conflict are prevalent.
So my question is taking a different route. Okay, that is fine. Nobody likes disturbance, bombing. So it may be with you also.
Yes, we are human.
But okay.
Any other question?
I just told you that we had Jewish and Arab students together.
Yeah.
Of course, I love my Arab students just the same. And in any place, I once told one of my students, Bhavan that was now with us,
In the festival.
is now a famous poet in the festival, Odisha. There are only two people in Israel.
Okay.
Two peoples. There are two peoples in Israel, and this is not the Jews and the Arabs. It's the people that want peace and the people that want war.
Yes.
People who want love and the people who want hatred. It goes through this so-called nation.
And you find Arabs here, and you find Arabs there, you find Jews here.
Everyone the same thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Devi Rone and Mr. Amir, for sparing your valuable time and participating in this lively session and for presenting your points so beautiful and so well. Which I'm sure we all have enjoyed. On behalf of Sahitya Academy, I also thank Ms. Yuma Manthudu, who was here, and all of you who have joined us in this program. We look forward to meet you again. And now we can have a cup of tea. Thank you very much.